Okay, time's up. You could talk about your clues now.
Right, do we just wanna go through like what we think
Yeah, sure.
each one is? Do you have the murder?
I don't know. There are a couple things here. It says Mr. Jones told Mr. Kelly that he was going to kill him.
Okay.
And it says the bullet taken from Mr. Kelly's thigh matched the gun owned by Mr. Jones.
Mhm.
But Mr. Kelly's bloodstains were found in Mr. Scott's car.
Oh, Mr. Scott, I don't have anything about Mr. Scott.
Mr. Scott, do you have Mr. Scott?
Yeah.
What's up with Mr. Scott?
Police were unable to locate Mr. Scott after the murder.
Mm-hmm.
The elevator operator said that Mr. Kelly's wife frequently left the building with Mr. Scott.
Mm-hmm.
The knife in Miss Smith's yard had Mr. Scott's fingerprints on it.
The knife? The knife?
Yes, I have stuff about the knife.
Okay.
When he was discovered dead, Mr. Kelly had a bullet wound in his thigh and a knife wound in his back. So I think that the murder weapon isn't the gun,
Isn't the gun?
because it was in his thigh, so
Uh-huh.
probably the knife.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I don't think that it was Mr. Jones, because I have him. Miss Kelly saw Miss Smith saw Mr. Kelly go to Mr. Jones' apartment at 11:55. Mr. Jones shot an intruder
11:55 a.m. or p.m.?
p.m. and then at midnight, and then the elevator operator saw Mr. Kelly at 12:15. So he probably left the apartment, like he got shot at, but he wasn't
Yeah.
killed.
It says the elevator man saw Mr. Kelly go to Mr. Scott's room at 12:25 a.m. for me. I'm just collecting all the times.
Okay,
But
so
Well, for times it says Mr. Kelly's body was found at 1:30 a.m. and it said Mr. Kelly had been dead for 1 hour when his body was found, according to a medical expert working with police.
And that was
so
what time?
12:30.
So 12:30.
12:30 a.m.
Okay, yeah, because I have Miss Smith said that nobody left the apartment building between 12:25 and 12:45. So that leaves a. So did he go to Mr. Scott? Do you think? What do you guys have about Mr. Scott?
With his fingerprints, the knife had his fingerprints on it.
Mhm.
They were unable to locate him after the murder.
Uh-huh.
The elevator man saw Mr. Kelly's wife go to Mr. Scott's apartment at 11:30 p.m.
Mhm. And did you say that they found the body? It was in the park. Is that what?
Oh, I have he was discovered. A knife with Mr. Kelly's blood on it was found in Mrs. Smith's yard. Oh, that's the knife.
Mr. Kelly's body was found in the park here. It says for me.
Yeah, and it said that
So-
he'd been dragged a long way.
Oh, he's been dragged along. Okay, so he wasn't
where's
killed in the park, but he was.
Yeah, it was obvious from the condition of Mr. Kelly's body that he'd been dragged a long way.
Right. Okay.
So,
So, where do we think he was killed? It was an apartment? Is that what you said?
wait, do we think that Mr. Scott killed him?
Mr. Jones told Mr. Kelly that he was going to kill him. And then it says, Mr. Kelly has destroyed Mr. Jones's business by stealing all his customers.
Because I have Mr. Jones shot at an intruder at his apartment building at
Oh,
midnight,
okay.
but he left. The elevator operator reported that he saw Mr. Kelly at 12 a.m. So even though Mr. Jones shot him, he still survived. So I don't think it was Mr. Jones. Do you think?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
it was probably a third party.
Okay.
Because if he got stabbed in the back too, because it says that the elevator man saw Mr. Kelly, he was bleeding slightly.
Okay.
Obviously, he
does it
wouldn't
have
be
that
bleeding from
time?
his back. In his back. No, it doesn't have the time.
Okay.
The elevator man saw.
And what do you have about Mr. Scott?
Mr. Scott, just that they were unable to locate him.
Okay.
I have Mr. Jones too. They said when police tried to locate Mr. Jones after the murder, they discovered that he had disappeared. But
Oh, okay. So maybe.
The elevator man saw Mr. Kelly go to Mr. Scott's room at 12:25. And when he saw Mr. Kelly, they have numbers on the back of these.
So we definitely, I know that it's not the gun. Well, I don't know that for sure. That's just my best bet that it was the
Not the gun.
knife.
do you want to put these in order?
I don't. We're not allowed to combine.
Oh.
Yeah. I was trying to put them in order, but they're not all like that.
So I have, with the murder weapons, I have that he had a bullet wound in his thigh, which I think you can't die
Mr.
from that,
Jones.
and a knife in his back.
So, Mr. Jones shot an intruder, right?
Yes.
That's what it was? So the
Yes.
intruder was Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
and Mr. Kelly just moved to another location.
Because the elevator operator saw Mr. Kelly after he got shot.
Right, okay, alright, so that happened.
Mhm.
And what about the knife? Where was the knife from?
The knife,
It was found in Miss Smith's yard and it had Mr. Scott's fingerprints on it.
Mr. Smith?
Scott.
Oh, Mr. Scott's.
Mhm.
and it had Mr. Kelly's blood on it.
Okay.
So, Mr. Kelly. So I think the knife was the weapon.
I think the knife probably was the weapon,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So we have that.
Knife was the murder weapon.
And then
so
what
yeah,
What about the
should we
motive
write that down?
though?
The motive?
Because I think the time of the death was 12:30.
Yeah, I think so too. Because you said they
He
found
had-
it 1:30
And
and
he'd
then
been dead for 1 hour.
okay.
So it was 12:30, okay. So time of death, 12:30?
Yes.
30. Place of murder, could be the apartment? No,
Do you have anything about Mr. Scott's apartment?
nothing about Mr. Scott. Owned by Mr. Jones. Okay, so bloodstains were found on the carpet outside Mr. Jones' apartment, but that's only because he was shot, and that's not when he was killed by the knife. Because then he moved, right? And when did he come into contact with Mr. Scott afterwards?
Do you have anything about?
I saw Mr. Kelly go to Mr. Scott's room at 12:25.
Okay.
Well, they say things about Mr. Kelly's wife
Mhm.
and how the elevator man saw Mr. Kelly's wife go to Mr. Scott's apartment at 11:30 p.m. And
Okay.
also, the elevator operator said that Mr. Kelly's wife frequently left the building with Mr. Scott.
Okay, so I think that Mr. Kelly shot Mr. Scott because he was sleeping with his wife.
I thought Mr. Kelly was shot by Mr. Jones. Oh wait,
He was shot by, or I mean, knifed to death. Okay.
knifed to death by Scott.
Yes.
So you think it was like a stop sleeping around with my wife kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because right now Scott's our main guy, right?
Yeah, Scott is our main guy.
Okay. And
I-
I don't have anything
Is
about.
there like a third person? I mean, a fourth?
Oh yeah, I have something about Miss Smith. Do you guys have anything about Miss Smith?
I don't have Miss Smith, but she was probably is she the motive? Wait,
Just
was Mr.
with the
Kelly's
knife.
wife.
Yeah, I think she just might be a witness because Miss Smith saw Mr. Kelly go to Mr. Jones' apartment building at
Okay,
11:50
yeah, she
p.m.
would- yeah.
Miss Smith said that nobody left the apartment building between 12:25 and 12:45, and a knife with Mr. Kelly's blood was found in Miss Smith's yard. So I think she might have just been a witness.
Okay, and she said she didn't see anybody go from the room from 12:25 to.
12:25 to 12:45, which
and
still leaves that window
nobody
open
left.
to be.
Yeah, the elevator man saw Mr. Kelly go to Mr. Scott's room at 12:25.
Okay.
Yeah, so that makes sense, if they didn't leave. Okay. So I'd imagine she's just a witness and then somebody planted it in her yard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the murderer should be Mr.
Scott.
Scott, yeah.
Okay, and what
The
else?
weapon is a knife.
Place of murder. Do
Um,
we have stuff about Mr. Scott's apartment?
Mr. Scott's apartment, Mr. Scott's room at 12, Mr. Kelly went to Mr. Scott's room at 12:25.
Okay.
And that places him like around an hour before he was found dead, right?
Yeah. Okay, I would
So,
say,
Mr. Scott's room?
Mhm.
Okay,
and then the motive would be sleeping with his wife.
yeah, adultery.
Yes.
Wait, but wasn't Mr. Kelly the one that was found dead?
Because didn't you say that Mr.
Oh.
Scott was?
Yeah, but like, why would the motive be adultery then? Do you know what I'm saying?
Wait, what are the things? Who was sleeping with who, or who was who? Which wife was?
What's the
Mr.
blood
Kelly's wife
Mhm.
was in Scott's apartment, and she often left the building with Mr. Scott.
Okay,
Oh,
so
maybe
And
they
Mr. Kelly was found dead.
maybe they murdered Mr. Kelly so that she could run
Oh.
away with him? Maybe. Well, whose business went down
Oh,
the
yeah.
drain? Mr. Kelly destroyed Mr. Jones' business, but Mr. Jones only shot at an intruder, so Mr.
Mhm.
Jones is like, no, okay, that's not a motive.
So what is the motive? Okay, so if Mr. Scott killed Mr. Kelly and Mr. Scott was sleeping with Miss Kelly,
Okay.
why would they? So they could be together? Was that? Is that
Just
a motive?
get a divorce, man.
Yeah, I feel like this is so much easier. Okay, and who destroyed Mr. Jones?
Mr. Jones' business was destroyed by Mr. Kelly,
Okay, Mr. Kelly destroyed Mr. Jones. We already.
but Mr. Jones only acted in self-defense against an intruder.
Yeah.
But Mr. Jones told Mr. Kelly that he was going to kill him. When did that happen? Why did that happen? The bloodstains were found in Mr. Scott's car.
Alright, so all we need to do is figure out why. Why did Scott kill Kelly?
Mr. Kelly got Mr. Scott's room.
You said you had one that like no one left the apartment between something.
Yeah, Miss Smith said that nobody left the apartment between 12:25 and 12:45 a.m.
And that was Scott's apartment, or
I think they're all in the same apartment building,
okay.
because you just have something that says Scott's room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're all in the same building.
It's not possible that Mr. Kelly's wife killed him, is it? No, that's just another theory. Because
I think it could be.
she's with Mr. Scott, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes maybe
Cause maybe
this is a stretch if she was in his room, but it's not even information given. So
Because why would she kill her husband?
to be with Mr. Scott.
maybe it's Mr. Scott. I think it kind of like all points to that.
Do we want to say Kelly? And
I want to say Mr. Scott
Okay.
did it. So I don't know.
so he could, was out of jealousy?
Oh no! It wasn't jealousy. I think he killed. He killed the other guy
Mhm.
so that the wife, the murdered guy's wife, could run away with him.
Okay.
That's what I think. I don't know. So
Okay,
that's just one theory I've got. But
I think that's the best bet that we have.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Do you want to go with that?
Okay. Are you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I just motive is adultery still.
Sure. Or should we write something more clear?
Yeah. Wanted to run off with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wanted to be with Miss
Wanted,
Kelly.
wanted to be with Miss Kelly.
And then the place of the murder is Mr. Scott's apartment.
Mhm.
Yay?
Yeah.
All right. I just want to say for the record, it's May 6th at 1 p.m. Just because the camera went off and I don't know why. And so I'm just going to say, yeah. I mean, I got all of you, but I may not have gotten the